Is your phone actually changing how your brain works? The answer is yes, but not in the way people think. Your brain is not just reacting to your phone, it's adapting to it. Every time you check your phone, even for a few seconds, your brain releases dopamine, the chemical that makes you feel rewarded. Every time you scroll, swipe, or chase a notification, your brain is learning that short bursts of shallow stimulation are more valuable than deep thought, real conversation, or rest. The scariest truth about too much phone screen time is that your phone doesn't just change what you pay attention to, they change what you think is worth your attention. You feel anxious without your phone not just because you're addicted, but because your brain now sees your phone as a safety tool. Scientifically, your brain constantly feeds you dopamine, the feel-good chemical, when checking texts, scrolling, or responding to notifications on your phone. Without it, your dopamine drops, and your brain panics, thinking something's wrong. The untold truth is that your phone has become a part of your brain's emotional regulation system. Your nervous system feels uncertain, unprotected, and overstimulated by silence without it, which creates that anxious, restless feeling you can't quite explain. Most people think addiction is only about substances, but the brain doesn't care what the source is. It's not about what you're using, but what you're losing while using it. In real life, rewards take time. You have to study, work, wait, or struggle. But on social media platforms, your brain gets instant gratification, a funny video, a shocking story, a validation boost, all within seconds. The untold truth many are not aware of is that social media doesn't just affect what you see, it slowly rewires how you think and how you feel about yourself without you realizing it. Endless scrolling isn't passive, it's a chemical tug-of-war in your brain, designed to keep you hooked even when you're mentally exhausted. Early screen exposure doesn't just entertain a child, it also replaces the very things the brain needs to grow properly. A young child's brain is like wet cement. Every sound, touch, face, and interaction helps shape how it will function for life. The brain begins to suffer when screen time consistently replaces real human interaction, deep focus, physical movement, and emotional rest. Excessive scrolling on the phone screen doesn't just steal your attention, it destroys your brain's natural sense of time passing. Your relationship with time itself will be rewired. For a long time, many people have tried to reduce excess screen time and re-anchor their brain back to real time, but they have been going about it in the wrong approach. The main issue is not how can I use my phone less, but what can I do to make time feel real again? But before we delve deeper into how to recover our brain from excessive screen time, let's examine how the brain works when we use our phone. Your brain constantly feeds you dopamine, the feel-good chemical, every time you check your phone through texts, scrolling, or notifications. But dopamine is not the pleasure chemical like most people think. Dopamine is the anticipation chemical. It motivates you to chase things your brain believes will bring pleasure or reward. Think of dopamine as your brain's internal GPS for reward. The sequence of how the brain works is as follows. An emotional trigger occurs when a notification sound popped up in your phone or when you are bored at home, and that causes the brain to release dopamine, causing you to anticipate the reward. Maybe there's something exciting, and that would lead to an action, which is you picking up your phone. The reward for the action carried out is you start feeling pleasure or relief while scrolling on your phone, and it is registered in your brain. Memory, your brain logs this as a successful strategy and would like to repeat it, and you're more likely to do it again and again. The problem now is that dopamine is meant for survival-level motivation, but screen time has hijacked it, and now your brain thinks, why work hard for a reward when I can scroll and feel good now? The fact that phone screen time gives easy dopamine makes the brain begin to ignore studying, reading, conversations, chores, self-reflection. Dopamine doesn't make you feel pleasure in the long run, rather it makes you chase pleasure, and phone screen time exploits this craving by giving just enough stimulation to keep you chasing. Mindless scrolling trains the brain to become reactive, passive, and overstimulated, while active learning trains it to become focused, curious, and neuroplastic, open to growth. When you're learning, e.g. watching an educational video, reading an article, taking notes, your prefrontal cortex, responsible for focus, reasoning, and decision-making, is activated. During learning, the hippocampus, memory center, stores information in long-term memory. During scrolling, very little gets encoded. Your brain likes easy dopamine, but it grows and sharpens only through effortful focus. That's the difference between learning and zoning out. Research shows that chronic screen use while scrolling and binging can shrink the gray matter in areas responsible for empathy, memory, and decision-making. It also weakens prefrontal cortex connections, the part responsible for focus, decision-making, and emotional regulation, and heightens activity in the amygdala, making you more reactive and anxious. It also disrupts sleep cycles. Blue light from phones suppresses melatonin, the sleep hormone, and delays REM cycles. You fall asleep later. You wake up less rested, but the truth is that your brain doesn't just need less screen time, it needs more time spent on activities that restore natural brain chemistry, like walking, music, face-to-face talk, or mindful boredom. But how can it be done? The following are some of the logic behind breaking phone addiction. You must interrupt the loop, not just remove the trigger. This means learning to pause when you feel the urge, not to fight it, but to notice it. Replace dopamine from the screen with dopamine from real effort. Walk. Journal. Call a friend. It won't feel rewarding at first, because your brain has to relearn how to earn pleasure instead of scrolling for it. Rebuild your tolerance for stillness. Discomfort is not a sign of failure, it's a sign that your brain is healing. You're detoxing from artificial highs and reintroducing it to real emotional presence. Restructure your digital environment. Your brain is shaped by what it sees. You need to make the phone harder to reach and your real life easier to engage. Most people use phone screens when time feels vague. So you must interrupt your ease of access. Keep your phone far away when working or resting. Use physical clocks, not digital. Use analog tools, notebooks, books, physical calendars, daily. This anchors you back to a tangible sense of effort and space. Forgive the relapses. Learn from them. Phone addiction is not a moral flaw, it's a survival strategy that got hijacked by modern technology. You outgrow it by creating a life that feels less like an escape and more like something worth being fully awake in. Deliberately experience time in slow motion once a day. Your brain needs to relearn the rhythm of slowness, walking without headphones, eating without screens, sitting in silence. This trains your nervous system to tolerate time, rather than escape it. End each day with time closure. The brain needs to close loops. Screens keep everything open-ended. Write one sentence every night. What did I do today that made today matter? The untold truth about making those changes is that you don't need more willpower. You just need to understand your brain and retrain it with compassion, structure, and slowness. The central idea is not to give up your phone but to take back your mind by removing the unhealthy brain's coping system and teaching the brain a new way of enjoying your spare time. You don't reduce screen time by resisting technology. You reduce it by restoring depth, slowness, and emotional value to the moments that don't involve a screen. You don't break phone addiction by resisting your phone. You break it by redesigning your day in advance, using time like a map, not a reaction. Most people wake up and react their way through the day, and phones fit perfectly into that chaos. But when your time is structure, your brain becomes less hungry for chronic screen use. Structure reduces temptation because boredom and decision fatigue are addiction triggers. Your phone is a synthetic solution for 4 real cravings: stimulation, reward, connection, and release. When those 4 cravings are replaced with bodily, social, or creative play, your screen cravings fade gradually, and it is not because you forced yourself to stop, but that your brain now feels fed finally. It is essential to replace those chronic screen use cravings because according to current global stats on phone use, as of 2024, average global daily screen time, for mobile users, is 3.5 to 7 hours per day, of which 79% of adults between the ages of 18 to 44 checks their phones within 15 minutes of waking up from sleep. Over 50% report feeling anxious or missing something when they are without their phones. Only 8% to 12% of people can go 24 hours without screen time comfortably, with no psychological distress or withdrawal symptoms. A study published in Neuroregulation, 2022 showed that participants deprived of phones for 24 hours experienced elevated cortisol, stress hormone, increased heart rate, reduced dopamine activity. Only 11% reported no significant discomfort during that period. According to Stanford's 2023 Human Tech Balance study, around 15% of participants were able to limit phone use to under 1 hour per day without emotional side effects, but only 4% sustained it longer than a week without intentional structure, like nature retreats, journaling, or group support. The reason why so few can do it comfortably is because phones are now a substitute for 5 essential functions: timekeeping, emotional regulation, social validation, entertainment, microdopamine hits. Removing it isn't just taking away a device, it's removing an entire reward ecosystem. That's why most people don't just feel bored, they feel emotionally malnourished. Only about 10% to 12% of people today can live comfortably without phone screens for a 24-hour period. The rest feel anything from mild boredom to intense restlessness or even depressive symptoms unless they replace it with meaningful, rewarding activities. So the real solution isn't just by cutting screen time, it is by replacing it with brain-satisfying activities that meet the same emotional needs. The brain doesn't need less phone, it needs more meaning. If this made you uncomfortable, good. That means your brain is still trying to protect you. We weren't born addicted, we were trained to crave. And every scroll, every tap, every late-night binge is not your weakness. It's a symptom of a system designed to keep your mind distracted and your soul numb. So don't just scroll past this. Share it with the friend who says they're fine, but can't look up from their screen. Share it with the parent, the student, the worker who's lost track of time and themselves. Subscribe to Untold Realities for more mind-changing insights that most people will never hear. Thank you for watching.